The number flashing back at you on your screen doesn't feel entirely real. Truth be told, it never does at first. You find yourself hitting the refresh button anyway, just to be sure. This is level 1, the $500 account. You funded it late on a random Tuesday night, scraping together money you had quietly been saving for something completely different. You didn't dare tell a soul. The platform finally finishes loading and you stare at that crisp balance sitting there. $500. For a fleeting moment, it genuinely feels like a door has just materialized in a solid brick wall you've been blanking out against your entire life. You randomly buy something. If someone pressed you, you couldn't explain exactly why you chose that specific asset. You just saw it mentioned in passing, somewhere a random forum thread, a stray video. Someone, somewhere, promised it was about to move. And then, it actually moves up. It's nothing spectacular, just a quick $43 gain. But you frantically close the trade anyway because you're absolutely terrified the profit will vanish into thin air. When you watch that digital balance jump from $500 to $543, you are hit with a sensation that goes way beyond mere happiness. It feels like pure validation. It's the ultimate confirmation of a secret suspicion you've always harbored about yourself, that you are different, that you naturally see the subtle things everyone else blindly misses. If you want to skip the painful trial and error of this level and see the tools the pros use right now, click on the description below. Naturally, you open another trade immediately. This one violently reverses in the exact opposite direction. You stubbornly hold on to it. You repeat the comforting lie to yourself that it will inevitably come back around. It always comes back around, you're certain you read that rule somewhere before. You wait out 2 agonizing days. It doesn't come back. You finally capitulate and close it out at a brutal $67 loss, dragging your balance down to $476. You barely sleep a wink that night, but curiously, it isn't because you're angry. It's because your brain is already aggressively charting out the next move. That is the dangerous, unvarnished truth about this early stage that nobody ever warns you about. The losses don't actually slow you down. They accelerate your pacing. By the very next morning, you are injecting another $200 into the account, masking the pain by telling yourself it's just a necessary investment in your financial education. At this baseline level, you view the market as a living personality. It has distinct moods. It feels deeply, intensely personal. When a trade swings in your favor, you feel uniquely chosen by the universe. When it goes against you, you feel personally targeted. You haven't yet grasped the cold reality that the market has absolutely no clue you even exist. By the time the month wraps up, your account is battered down to $390. You shrug it off, chalking it up as unavoidable tuition. Welcome to level 2, the $5,000 account. By this point, you've been grinding away at the screens for 7 long months. You have completely devoured 3 trading books and watched far more hours of video content than you've actually slept. You've finally constructed a system, or at least what you confidently choose to call a system. You have rigid entry rules, a curated watch list, and a physical notebook where you meticulously log your trades by hand, because you read an article stating the world's elite traders do exactly that. You fund this account with $5,000, utilizing rent money you managed to free up by aggressively cutting back on other areas of your life. You purposely avoid examining that reckless decision too closely. This is an entirely different playground now. The numbers possess real, undeniable weight. Suddenly, a minor 2% loss isn't a meaningless $40 drop anymore. It's a cool $100. You feel that shift manifest as a heavy pressure in your chest. When you sit down in front of the monitors now, your hands don't fly across the keys as recklessly as they used to. You mistake this hesitation for progress, convincing yourself that you're finally acting like a professional. You start to recognize real, organic patterns forming on the tape, not the basic shapes the cookie-cutter YouTube tutorials tried to show you, but genuine subtle tendencies the market exhibits right before an explosive move. You can't articulate it perfectly to anyone else, but you can feel the intuition building inside you. Then, one fortunate afternoon, you catch a sudden wave that nets you a beautiful $340 profit in a matter of 20 minutes. You lean back in your chair, completely overwhelmed by the intoxicating feeling that you have finally cracked the hidden code of the markets. Your girlfriend walks into the room and asks what you're doing so intently. You clear your throat, look away, and simply mutter, "Just working on a little project." She doesn't push for details. The account steadily climbs to a peak of $6,800. Then the market pulls back, shaving it down to $5,200. A few days later, you brazenly execute a heavy trade right into a major news event that you completely misread, and you watch your account evaporate down to $4,100 in 40 suffocating minutes. You sit there completely paralyzed, staring blankly at the screen. You don't cut the loss. You just sit with the pain. In a desperate bid to save yourself, you open a brand new position in the exact opposite direction, trying to hedge your risk, but you only succeed in making the bleeding worse. By the time the closing bell rings, you are sitting on a broken $3,600 balance. You don't breathe a word of this to anyone. Instead, you secretly wire another $1,400 of fresh capital into the brokerage just to artificially force the balance back up to that psychological $5,000 baseline. And you conveniently omit that entire deposit from your handwritten notebook. This is the dark, hidden accounting that quietly takes root at this stage. You begin keeping two separate sets of books, the clean, pristine one you proudly track, and the shadow ledger you pretend doesn't exist. You have officially started editing your own history. It's not outright lying. You tell yourself it's just selective curation. You place all the emphasis on that glorious $340 afternoon, while completely minimizing the memory of the $1,400 emergency refund. Without realizing it, you have begun protecting your fragile ego in the story of being a trader far more than the actual capital. To see the exact psychological frameworks that help traders break past this cycle of hidden accounting, click on the description below. Then comes level 3, the $25,000 account. You finally clear the rigid PDT rule on a quiet Thursday morning, pattern day trader status. The holy grail of a minimum $25,000 balance required to execute unlimited, lightning-fast day trades in the U.S. equities market. You have been anticipating this milestone the way regular corporate employees desperately wait for a major promotion. It feels like a massive, exclusive gate has finally swung open to let you pass. The account finally feels legitimate. The money itself took 2 grueling years to accumulate, quietly siphoned away from a daytime salary that doesn't know you're trading, pieced together from grueling side gigs, and boosted by a structured legal settlement you cashed out way too early, telling your worried mother the lump sum was strictly for a reliable new car. You've upgraded your battle station. 2 high-resolution monitors, a premium real-time data subscription, a high-speed stock scanner that drains $150 a month from your wallet, and an exclusive private Discord server where elite minds trade daily ideas. You pay a hefty monthly fee for that community too. You have fully transitioned into thinking of yourself strictly as a trader, now not just someone who occasionally dabbles in the markets, but a real trader. There is a massive psychological shift in that distinction, and you feel it vibrating through you the second you wake up at 6:45 a.m. to check the overnight global futures, before your eyes can even fully focus. At this tier, you abruptly collide with a brand new, suffocating breed of psychological pressure, the demand for absolute consistency. You've put together great high-flying months in the past, but you quickly realize that lucky flukes feel identical to genuine skill until you're forced to repeat them on command day after day. Now, you are deep in the weeds tracking your raw metrics, hard win rates, average winning trade size, average losing trade size, and your overall profit factor. The cold data tells a story, and unfortunately, that story is nowhere near as clean or flawless as the glamorous narrative playing out inside your head. You suffer through 3 agonizing losing weeks in a row. They aren't completely catastrophic account killers, but they are incredibly consistent in their losses. It hits you that you are executing mistakes at a perfectly repeatable level, and the terrifying part is you have absolutely no idea what you are doing wrong. That exact agonizing purgatory, being skilled enough to clearly recognize that you are making mistakes, but not yet skilled enough to diagnose why, is easily the most psychologically hazardous territory in this entire multi-year journey. In a moment of desperation, you shell out $2,000 to hire a professional trading coach. He spends his time telling you concepts and rules you honestly already know by heart. But what that $2,000 invoice actually buys you is something far more valuable: the psychological permission to trust your own judgment again. It works, but the realization that you needed to buy your confidence back is deeply disturbing. The account somehow closes out the fiscal year sitting at $31,000. You are officially a profitable trader, but you are not yet a good one. This ushers in level 4, the $100,000 account. It materializes faster than you ever anticipated, yet somehow slower than you had secretly hoped. You log in one day to see $100,000 sitting in your primary trading account, and the most shocking part is it no longer feels remarkable to look at. That cold indifference is the very first definitive sign that something fundamental has permanently shifted deep within your psychology. Just 12 short months ago, this exact six-figure number would have been an unattainable fantasy. Now, it's just a standard, utilitarian working balance. You simply require a cushion of this exact magnitude to comfortably size into the massive positions you are now executing. The capital has transformed entirely into a tool, and you don't get emotionally attached to tools. You trade real size now, immense size. You are effortlessly sliding in and out of market positions that the vast majority of everyday retail investors will never see accumulate in their personal brokerages over the course of their entire lifetimes. You routinely manage six figures of open financial risk before you've even broken for lunch. And the bizarre part is, none of it feels real anymore. Around this time, your long-term relationship quietly comes to an end. There were no explosive, screaming fights. There was absolutely nothing dramatic or tangible you could point to as the cause. She simply sat you down and told you that you were always somewhere else entirely, even when you were physically sitting right next to her in the room. You didn't bother to argue the point because you knew she was absolutely right, and there really wasn't anything left to say after that. You find yourself thinking about her face occasionally, usually in the quiet 2-minute vacuum between closing out one massive trade and waiting for the next structural setup to form on your screens. Then, the new setup forms, the candles print, and you instantly stop thinking about her. At this level of the game, you finally begin to comprehend what having an edge actually means in the real world. It isn't a holy grail strategy. It isn't a magical candlestick pattern. It is nothing more than a cold, hard, statistical reality that requires a massive, uncorrupted sample size of occurrences to properly prove its mathematical validity. And it demands an account with enough heavy capital to easily survive the brutal, inevitable waves of random variance while you wait for that math to play out. The vast majority of people completely wash out of the business long before their sample size ever grows large enough to work. You understand this deeply now, knowing with a shudder how incredibly close you came to being one of those casualties. You also finally see the market for what it truly is. It isn't a cold mechanism. It isn't an engineered system. It is nothing more than a massive, swirling collection of human beings making high-stakes decisions in real time, operating on deeply incomplete information, and driven by overlapping, conflicting incentives. The mathematical reality is brutal. Every single time you buy, someone else is selling to you and one of you is dead wrong. You are operating daily in a ruthless, zero-sum war zone that has been carefully dressed up to feel like a civilized economy. This realization isn't born out of dark cynicism. It is born out of absolute operational clarity. You naturally start gravitating toward the tiny handful of other traders who understand this exact truth. They carry themselves entirely differently. They are much quieter, vastly less excitable, and they don't use flashy charts, annoying price alerts, or social media hype. They ask incredibly boring, mundane questions, and they ask them with surgical precision. You quickly realize you feel infinitely more at home in their sterile company than anywhere else on Earth. Concurrently, you notice that you have started to find almost all normal everyday civilian conversations slightly irritating and irrelevant. Then, almost without warning, you cross into level 5, the $500,000 account. You don't feel even the slightest urge to celebrate the milestone. This lack of emotion isn't an act for performance, nor is it a manufactured display of humility designed for a camera. You genuinely, deeply do not feel a thing. You are looking at $500,000 of liquid cash with your legal name stamped on it, and the primary overriding emotion occupying your psyche is a low, incredibly stable, crushing pressure. It's the specific brand of psychological pressure that never violently spikes, because it simply never leaves your body. You feel it weighing on you the exact second you open your eyes in the morning. You feel it tracking you through the weekends when the markets are safely closed. You feel it sitting at the dinner table with your aging parents when they politely ask how your business is going, and you just give them a clipped, one-word answer, "Good," before quickly changing the subject to something else. Your trade entries are entirely surgical now. You wait. You have masterfully learned the art of waiting in a way that would be completely unrecognizable to the naive, frantic version of yourself who funded that original $500 account. You have highly profitable setups that you will cold-bloodedly refuse to touch if the bid-ask spread is even a single penny off. You have a set of core rules that you have violated exactly twice over the last 4 years, and both times the market made you pay a devastating price instantly, almost as if the entire global tape had been watching you wait for a slip-up. Maybe that's just foolish trader superstition, or maybe it's just the absolute pinnacle of advanced pattern recognition. The truth is, you're no longer entirely sure where the intuition ends and the math begins. At this heavy tier, you start to actively feel the raw liquidity of the market. You are operating with sizes that are officially large enough to directly affect the immediate order flow of the assets you are entering. On thinly traded tickers, you can literally watch your own block orders imprint onto the time and sales tape. You have officially transformed into an active cog inside the massive global machine you used to just sit back and passively watch. That realization should probably feel empowering, and on rare days it does, but far more frequently, it just feels like immense crushing responsibility delivered without any fanfare or ceremony. You never mention your account size to anyone, not out of adherence to some arbitrary rule, but because you have watched firsthand what happens to human dynamics the moment people find out how much liquid cash you wield. You see the immediate subtle shift in how they look at you, the frantic mathematical calculations you can practically see running behind their eyes, and you simply choose not to participate in that social static. Your entire social life has quietly contracted down to a tiny radius that contains almost nobody at all. You continuously tell yourself that this isolation is an absolute operational necessity, that achieving this level of elite focus requires this exact sacrifice, and that you will happily reconnect with normal society the moment you hit the next major monetary milestone. The haunting part is, you've been telling yourself that exact same lie ever since you cleared the $25,000 account. Eventually, you scale into level 6, the $2 million account. Somewhere around this massive milestone, the fundamental nature of the game changes forever. You aren't really trading anymore, at least not in the way you used to define the word. You are managing large-scale capital allocation. You are dynamically managing massive institutional exposure. Your entire day is consumed by thinking in terms of complex portfolio construction, asset correlation matrices, historical drawdown curves, and strict risk-adjusted returns. Your everyday vocabulary has shifted entirely, and so has the physical nature of your daily workload. You now spend vastly more hours buried inside complex spreadsheets than you do actually looking at price charts. A $2 million active balance generates a unique breed of complex administrative problems you never could have anticipated back in the early days. You are consumed by tax optimization structures, corporate entity formations, and estate planning. You have a dedicated lawyer on retainer now, an elite accountant who specializes strictly in professional traders, and a direct prime broker relationship that you had to cold iron negotiate entirely by yourself. You find yourself wasting 3 full weeks of your life dealing with a grueling regulatory compliance issue that has absolutely nothing to do with active trading, and everything to do with the simple fact of holding that much capital inside the modern financial system. You are no longer just a regular human being who happens to possess a highly profitable skill. You have evolved into a walking corporate structure. You occasionally meet other people operating at this elite scale. Not very often, but it happens. These rare interactions always possess a highly specific chilling quality. They are intensely careful, almost overly formal, even when the setting itself is completely casual. Everyone in the room is quietly measuring everyone else. No one ever shows their full hand. The warm, comforting camaraderie you used to feel in that old $25,000 day trading Discord server is completely gone. At this level of the stratosphere, there's only mutual professional respect and calculated strategic interest, and you have learned the hard way that those things are not the same as friendship. You are undeniably exceptional at what you do. You know this truth with a cold, solid certainty that contains absolutely zero arrogance or ego. It's just an objective fact of your life now, like knowing your exact height or the color of your eyes. You have been thoroughly tested by every single brutal market condition the world could throw at you over the last several years. Flash crashes, short squeezes, multi-month slow grinds, volatile news cycles, and systemic liquidity crises. Through it all, you are still standing here, watching a digital number that relentlessly expands. The undeniable empirical evidence is right there in the account ledger. What that account statement completely fails to show, however, is what that number actually cost you to build. It didn't just cost money, it cost you, the actual living human being who funded that very first $500 account on that hopeful Tuesday night. That kid who was so incredibly excited, beautifully naive, and half terrified out of his mind. You can still remember him clearly if you try. You can describe his hopes in vivid detail, but the reality is you no longer have access to his soul. It's not a feeling of acute grief exactly. It feels much more like looking at an old black and white photograph of a stranger who used to live in your house long before you moved in. Finally, you ascend to level 7, the 8-figure account. The critical operational call comes in at precisely 6 a.m. It doesn't arrive with any panic or urgency. That's not how things are conducted at this absolute peak. The call is perfectly scheduled, completely professional, coming from a high-level desk executive whose sole responsibility on Earth is to ensure your massive capital blocks are perfectly positioned across global liquidity pools before the opening bell rings. You take the call standing alone in your kitchen. You quietly brew a fresh pot of coffee while you listen to the voice on the line. You speak exactly 3 words, give the authorization, and hang up. You have crossed an invisible boundary into a rarefied tier where the sheer volume of your money generates massive problems that only massive amounts of money can solve. You are constantly managing complex tax events that require global corporate restructuring. Your active positions are now so immensely large that they require pre-negotiated block execution arrangements just to prevent crashing the market when you enter. You have direct relationships with institutional order desks at legacy Wall Street firms whose names you used to stare at in awe on financial news networks, and now those exact names just pop up as casual contacts on your personal phone. But you don't talk to those people the way you used to talk to regular human beings. At this absolute peak of the mountain, there is no sense of community. There are no trading forums. There are no chat rooms. There is an incredibly microscopic number of human beings on the face of the planet operating at this specific scale. And the reality is you will never be in the same room with the vast majority of them. And on the rare occasions you do encounter one of them, you do not fully trust them, and they do not fully trust you. You both understand that a guarded, hyper-vigilant posture is the only correct way to survive at this altitude, and everyone respects that unspoken rule without ever uttering a word. You live an incredibly well-appointed life. You want to be entirely precise about this fact because it matters to the story. You live exceptionally well, but the luxury itself doesn't actually produce anything inside you. Your apartment is an architectural masterpiece. Your car is whatever hypercar you feel like ordering on a whim. Your travel is exclusively first class or private aviation, and the entire logistical friction of everyday physical existence has been completely engineered out of your life. Food, physical comfort, elite access, these have completely ceased to be concerns. Yet you have noticed with a cold, detached observation that has become your default psychological setting that the complete absence of daily friction does not actually produce an ounce of human happiness. It produces something else entirely. Absolute, terrifying clarity. You can see with crystal precision that material comfort at this level is not a final destination. It is simply a room temperature. You maintain that environment the exact same way you maintain your trading edge, deliberately, systematically, and completely devoid of human feeling. You still find yourself thinking about that old $340 afternoon from your early days. You don't view the memory with warm nostalgia, exactly. It feels more like the cold recognition of a mathematical variable that has simply been removed from the current equation. The raw emotion of that long-lost afternoon, the sheer surprise, the almost physical electric shock of securing a win, was only possible because back then the stakes were comprehensible to your human brain. The outcome was genuinely uncertain, and you were fully, beautifully present in the moment. The tragic reality of your life now is that you are never, ever surprised anymore. That is the true hidden cost of trading mastery. It isn't the fractured relationships, it isn't the lost years, and it isn't even the ghost of your past self that you can no longer access. It is the permanent absence of surprise. It is the systematic flattening of every life outcome into a cold, pre-calculated expectation. It is the unshakable fact that absolutely nothing this global market can possibly do tomorrow, no matter how many millions it shifts, will ever make you feel the raw, electric way that a simple $340 win made you feel in a cramped studio apartment on a random Tuesday night with a measly $500 on the line. The opening bell rings. You quietly watch the first few minutes of global price action unfold without touching a single key on your terminal. It's an old, deeply ingrained habit. You've been executing this exact morning ritual for so long that it has ceased to be a matter of discipline. It is pure, unadulterated reflex. It is deep muscle memory laid down over a lifetime of devastating loss, painstaking recovery, and the slow, grinding development of elite competence. Somewhere on a retail trading platform at this exact second, a digital balance reads exactly $500. A young, hopeful kid just clicked the buy button. They have absolutely no conception of what they don't know. And that pure ignorance feels exactly like supreme confidence to them. And that confidence feels like undeniable proof of their destiny. And that proof will be utterly shattered to pieces eventually. What they will be forced to build in its place will cost them far more than they are mentally prepared to calculate right now. You know this trajectory with absolute certainty, not because you are inherently smarter than they are, but simply because you used to be them. The screen flickers with fresh institutional orders. You calmly place your trade. Somewhere out there, someone else just stepped into the arena. They genuinely think this game is simple. They are dead wrong, but they'll learn. If you are ready to face the reality of the markets and want to see the tools that help traders survive this evolution, click on the description below.